Oh my gosh, you're here!
Welcome to My Chatbot Life, where chatbot marketers share high-converting strategies in this new conversational marketplace. Each week, MKJ introduces you to bot builders who are just like you, a little techie, a little markety, and a whole lot of geeky. Buckle up as Chatbot Mom enjoys another journey into My Chatbot Life.
Hello there, MKJ here, Chatbot Mom. Welcome to My Chatbot Life. I get to chat today. Isn't that funny? I get to say chat quite a few times in my day, don't I? All right, but I do. I get to chat today with Stephen Bradeen, and he is a dear, dear friend, one that I only met once at Conversations Conference in 2018, and one that I've really had some in-depth, pretty deep conversations with, and he gets to share how his life has changed, not just from our conversations, obviously, I don't have that much power over people, but how his life has changed with chatbots, and how specifically working in chatbots and with Andrew Warner. He is a Bot Academy coach. Now remember, I took Bot Academy way back in, I signed up for it at the end of January 2017 and actually took the course in February of 2017 and have not looked back since. But Stephen actually, with another dear friend of mine, Nick Julia, they get to be the actual coaches for Bot Academy, a coveted position that I am absolutely envious of. I would love to be able to do that. But they got it. They're doing an amazing job. They don't need me at all. But he is also the founder of On Spot Automations. And we'll talk a little bit about how he's diversifying, definitely doing chatbots, but he's getting his hands into quite a few different things. And that's where his chatbot life has led him. So enjoy my conversation with Stephen. All right, people, you have to know the guy on the screen there. I've known him for, gosh, how long have we known each other, Stephen? I mean, we're talking
a couple years, I guess, right?
Yeah, a couple years. I feel like I've been living in this chatbot world for my entire life, right? I mean, it just feels like I've been immersed and I've not come up for air, and I haven't gotten out of this rocket ship for a couple of years. But Stephen Bradeen is a dear, dear friend, and you are doing crazy, amazing things in the bot world. But let's take a step back right before the bot world. I know what this answer is because I remember your story. But what were you actually doing as a job right before, immediately before you discovered Messenger and chatbots?
I love how when you say job, it's almost like there's almost like a level of disdain already implanted.
Sorry, I am definitely biased.
It's like, so what are we doing as a job?
Yeah.
Like, it didn't really sound that way.
My Valley Girl comes out,
bad
definitely.
Impression, but still, it was pretty funny. What I was doing is I was working in film as an assistant director. And if you know anything about film or working on film sets, it's not what it seems like when you see red carpets and when you're at the movie theater watching Avengers. It's a grind, it's grueling, it's often 14 to 20 hours, particularly what my role was. So I worked on some big films and TV shows and whatnot, but most of them weren't really enjoyable, and I found the whole environment to be pretty toxic, and I was very eager to get out of there.
Knowing you just as the type of person you are, I cannot imagine you in a toxic environment like that.
It affected me for sure. I mean, the clarity and the calmness that were in the way that we're used to communicating was much less available to me then. It was definitely I would be hired because I'm a big guy and I'm loud and I can tell people where to go, and I didn't care if they're angry at me or if it was just get the thing done, right? And it's just not a great mindset to live a joy and fulfilled life. So fortunately,
you're a big guy. I mean, definitely when people meet you, not everybody's intimidated, but it is definitely, I saw it when we met at the ManyChat conference at Conversations. I saw how people reacted to you when they met you for the first time. It's really, it's you can see it very clearly. They're like, it's really like they're like hit. Wow. Because you are very tall.
To that.
You are very tall. I mean, how tall are you?
I'm 6'7".
Yeah. So, and you're not a little lanky. I mean, you're not overweight at all, but you're not little.
No,
You
no,
carry.
I was most of my life I've been a total langster, but yeah, I put on packed on some pasta the last year and a bit. So
Yeah, but you know what I mean. I mean, you
yeah,
carry that every inch of that 6'7", and
right.
not that your presence when I met you is not at all what you described from
Mm,
being in that movie world and being that person who's like get it done and using that persona in that
mhm.
way. I did
Yeah.
not get that at all. So
Well, I
that's
think it
surprising.
speaks to the power of mindset because just as I now have created a persona and identity for myself that suits my purpose and how I'd like to feel about how I carry myself. You it just as easily when you're in any environment you adapt and you create personas to succeed. So I think that's probably a lot of where that came from. But still,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's amazing. So you were in that world and it was not the world you wanted to be in. And you heard about chatbots, you heard about Messenger and all that kind of stuff. And so what specifically, besides less toxicity,
Yeah.
attracted you to chatbots?
Well, I had always wanted to be an entrepreneur, right? So I read like the 4 Hour Work Week in university, and I was like just blown away. I was like, this is what I got to do. But I just really couldn't figure it out. And I tried a lot of different things with no help, right? With no guidance, no training or anything. So eventually I had a friend who did this course called the Landmark Forum, which is this awesome personal development seminar. So he went off after he did it, and for 6 months later, he had started a business, met the love of his life, and moved to California, which was always his dream. And so I was just like, okay, I want that. What do I take to get that? And
Where's the pill? Give me the pill.
yeah, where's the pill? What workout routine do I do?
What
And
meditation? Yeah.
yeah, I don't care. Whatever it is, I'll do it. And so he was like, "Well, hey, and that's not exactly how it went down. Like he showed up for me and helped
Mhm.
me see kind of a different
Yeah.
way." And so I did the forum, and immediately after that, I did this course called the Foundation because I was just open to receiving help and to make those goals real, and instead of letting fear stop me
Yeah.
and keep me small. So part of that course was Andrew Warner. So he was in the course from time to time, and he would come on and do like a teach call. He was friends with the people that ran it, and he started talking about chatbots. And the course I was in was targeted toward making a software as a service business, and I just felt that I had no business experience, never been an entrepreneur, and it all just felt a little overwhelming, even though I was learning a lot of great skills. So when Andrew started talking about chatbots, I was like, "That's it. That's the thing. That's the service. It's new. It's trending. It's well, not trending yet when we were talking about it, but
Mhm.
it just felt right and like aligned." So when he started talking about it, what I really loved about it is how he compared it to email marketing and how he was one of the first in on email marketing as well. So I kind of saw that trend, and just sometimes you just got to take a bit of a
Yep.
leap of faith.
Yep. And
Hmm.
so what did you do to actually learn how to create chatbots?
Well, yeah, I took the Bot Academy course. So that was Andrew Warner's course.
Yeah. Well, a
Yeah.
lot of people, I mean, you and I are like, well, duh, it's Bot Academy, right? But
Yeah.
a lot of people have not done that and they've just kind of
Right.
jumped in and kind of taught themselves.
Fair
Um,
enough.
so I get that. I've seen that from quite a few people. But of course, you and I are like, we are very privileged to be able to have learned from the best, from the first, from the outset, the right way to do it.
Totally.
And I could go off on soapboxes, but I'm not. I'm going to stay focused.
Right? Come on.
No. So you build bots for, obviously you build them for your own business, but you have an agency, right? You build bots for clients.
Yeah, yeah. So I have a team, and I imagine somewhat similar to you, who we have a good flow going, and when as I create sales and new clients, we have I basically create the strategies and have my team with me implement and do feedback and iterations and whatnot. I like to work with e-commerce and some chiropractic and auto dealers mostly. Um, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I know you've had some really great success with auto dealers. I know we've talked about that a couple of times. But
yeah.
so you I know you're big on mindset. I know you and I have had many conversations about mindset. And as far as I'm concerned, that's the only hurdle we have in life, is dealing with our own demons, dealing with our own fears and our own limitations. I do that constantly. Everyone I know, I can't imagine anyone on the planet who does not, who has reached it and is done and they're in nirvana. They're dead if they have. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So what is the biggest mindset, the biggest business mindset, the challenge, the mindset challenge that you've had to overcome so far? And how did you do it?
Okay, that's a good one. I think the first thing coming up for me is just fear of success, fear of failure, fear of taking action, just like this paralysis of like purpose paralysis. I'll call it that because something I learned, and it's hard to really pinpoint where you get each piece of awesome mindset material, right? But maybe this one was from Maston Kipp, who I worked with for a time, who I really respected. Where fear is a purpose on where you should go. This is something he always said. I'm not sure if he got that from somewhere, but I just started thinking about that and how whenever I would avoid doing something, it was always the exact thing that brought me to the next level when I eventually just took action on it. So I reframed and reinstalled a different mindset for fear. Instead of fear being like, oh, I'll do that later, or I'll avoid it, or I'll over prepare or procrastinate, all the things we do to like play the mind game with ourselves to get over it, to actually be able to take the action. Instead of doing that, I just meant whenever I was afraid of something, it had to be the first thing I did, because that meant that the result would be the exact thing I need to move where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
So with that quote and this book called The Untethered Soul, that book was amazing. It brought my presence to the idea that we create all of our restrictions and boundaries in our mind, and we also create that they don't exist just as easily. So that book had a lot of impact for sure. I think I read it like 8 times. Yeah.
Wow. The only book I've read 8 times is Harry Potter. So I think I need to go read that book.
Expelliarmus. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Wow. So give me an example of when you've done that then. So if you've taken that quote to heart and basically it's the exact thing you need to do, can you give someone in the audience is like mind blown right now, thinking, oh my gosh, I don't want to do that, but oh my gosh, that's exactly what I have to do. So can you give us just a little example? It doesn't have to be life altering thing, but
Sure.
little example of when you did that, you turned that around and it actually gave you what you needed.
Absolutely. And sometimes I think the result isn't like immediately visible, but it becomes so. And I think the biggest thing for me was the first time I actually did an in-person meeting to sell a chatbot. I know I talked about a little bit about that with Andrew Warner on that interview, but he basically, it was this gym, and I was starting to email gyms to see if they'd be interested in chat. And so I just created this little demo and sent it around. And so one of them was interested in meeting me. So I went in and I got there so early, and I was just pacing and like checking the app, make sure it worked, and like thinking of all the contingency plans and this and that. And, I went in there and the meeting was fine. I didn't die. It went well. I wasn't humiliated after, everything was okay, and so some more fear came up after that, of course. But that moment was, I think, one of the first times where I did something first that I really was avoiding for a while.
Yeah, I love that when you say I didn't die, because that's really that's my only criteria for things, right? It really is. I mean, I've driven an ambulance before. I was a volunteer ambulance driver, and
Wow.
so I've seen people dead, and I've transported them, and I've done mouth to mouth, and I've tried to help people. And so really that's my only criteria is if somebody's freaking out, oh my gosh, we sent the wrong broadcast. Oh my gosh, we put the wrong link, and they're freaking out. I'm like, dude, is anybody dead?
Yeah.
Nobody's dead. Everybody's fine. We're fine. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just, yes, it's inconvenient. Yes, it's embarrassing. Yeah, it's all those other things. but nobody died. So let's put it in perspective. Okay.
I love that. I think that's a great mindset, and something that I've done very recently even is when I've realized that there are people on my team or a part of my life that don't have that mindset, that aren't able to kind of like put certain low impact things aside like that. Like, you just have to remove them. You have to
Yeah.
curate the energy in your life
Yeah.
so that when you're having a conversation, it feels like this, and it moves, and it's give and
Yes.
take, and there's synchronicity and alignment. When you don't have that, that's why your environment is so important, cultivating that space. Because, just like taking action on that small meeting in the gym, you start to take action and be in integrity in all aspects. And it
Yes.
becomes this like momentum train, you know?
Yes. Yeah. And the things that you're not in alignment with become glaringly
Oh,
obvious,
yeah.
right?
It's crazy how obvious it becomes. It's like you go your whole life, without ever knowing any of this stuff is going on, and then you start to read these books and take these little actions and these patterns and just change them, reinstall. Like, I like to think of it like the Matrix, just
Yep.
download something else.
Yep.
You just download something else, and then all of a sudden life is easier and more fun and less heavy.
Yeah, yeah. And you know me. Whenever anyone asks me, "How are you today?" my typical response is, "You know what? I woke up today, so today is amazing."
You have this like positive aura that is like your force field of awesome. Like, I just remember when you were speaking at Conversations Conference too, and like, you had a couple technical things come up, like maybe you're trying to do like an iPhone thing, like you were trying to record yourself on
Yeah, yeah,
stage and get everybody really pumped up, and then when the first time it didn't work or something, and
yeah.
you're just like powerfully positive, and then you're like, we're gonna do that again, and then I loved that. That was great.
It's just the way it is. This is
Yeah,
life. And
better.
I look at that when you said that. I look at this as you're either awake or you're asleep. And if you're asleep to all these things, then you're just going to go through life asleep, and that's cool. If that's where you want to be, that's awesome. Stay asleep. But
Yes.
I wake up every day to wake up.
Yes.
Truly, to wake up to the next version of myself, to help others wake up to the next version, the next better version. I never reach the best.
Hmm.
Really, it's constant, right? But
Well,
to
that's the best, is the
yes,
constant growth, right?
that's it. It's just to
Yeah.
constantly wake up. And it is
Hmm.
so amazing. It really is so fun. Sometimes it's not so fun. When we hit snags of parts of ourselves that we're like, oh crap, I really didn't want to know that. Right. Or, oh
Oh,
yeah, that's where that came from. Ooh.
yes.
Right. I mean, we have them. They're less and less now that I'm an old lady, but still,
Yeah, but that's so powerful. Like, I have this friend Guy. He's a coach. It's called his coaching business called Satori Prime, and he's just brilliant. And he always talks about this point. Just said it. You had it. I had it. It was just about getting better like in life.
yeah.
It's because what we're noticing is, like, when you avoid feeling the thing that you need to feel, you don't get the result that you want to get. And like, he always talks about that, about how our goal in life should really be to get not like feel only happiness or not feel sadness or anger. It should just be to get better at feeling, and the better you get at feeling, the better you just do at everything.
Everything. It really is. And I look at it is either you're asleep or you're awake. And
Yeah.
every day I get to wake up, I get the opportunity to become more awake.
Yes.
And that's so fun. It is really
Mhm.
the best privilege, I'm so privileged to be able to do that every single day.
Amen.
But so it sounds, yes, thank you. And I know you're the same way. So
Yeah.
it sounds like, though, you have a lot of fun building chatbots.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of fun as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I think that like building chatbots is a lot of fun, and I think that it's like fun when you can bring your whole personality to it. When you can make a persona, and there's almost a little bit of acting, and you get in the whole mindset of like the business and whatnot. I seek those types of projects when you're able to bring that and try to I bring less of the more boring ones into my world.
Yep.
But yeah, it can be a
Yep.
lot of fun.
Yeah, I always say this. That's why I will never build a bot for an insurance company. Just,
Totally.
just won't do it. It's not going to happen. Either
Yeah,
I like it
exactly.
or I don't. And if I don't like it, it ain't happening. Uh,
Yes.
Here again, I'm here to be awake, not asleep.
Yeah,
That would put me to sleep. So,
exactly.
but what, um, I know you've done, especially with the dealerships thing. What would you say is your kind of your claim to fame in chatbots? What have you done really, really well and feel really good about?
Yeah. You know what I actually feel the best about? I mean, I have lots of projects, and they've gone really well, and it's a lot of fun. And auto dealers have been great. I have a new JV partner with that, and with her, we're doing really fun sequences. I got like Carlton dancing. Like they're just really fun sequences. So lead qualifying and nurturing has definitely been my highlight. But the thing I get the most joy of is probably coaching the Bot Academy, because since I've been doing that, like I've just being able to kind of help people along and help them get their businesses started, and like it's just seeing them go from A to B brought me the most fulfillment for sure. But as far as like a claim to fame, I think lead qualifying and nurturing, and just being able to construct a dialogue flow in a way that leads people to be primed to buy, or just gets them value, or leads them closer to the desired outcome, has probably been my strong suit. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you that Bot Academy coaching is definitely a claim to fame as well, because I just today was having a cup of, well, it wasn't coffee, it was a matcha drink, it was a tea drink in my favorite little tea shop here. One of the Bot Academy students was visiting my town and connected and said, hey, let's chat. And so we met down at this little tea shop. Jamie Green, you
Oh, I
probably know
love
who
her.
she is.
Yeah.
And she just mentioned today when we were talking just off the cuff, she's like, yeah, when Steven posted this, and of course, how many people do I know in the world, right, that are possibly named Steven?
Yeah.
And she says, yeah, when Steven posted this about blah, 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 and what did you think about that? I mean, I knew exactly who she was talking about. I knew exactly what post she was talking about, because that is your claim to fame. You are doing incredible work in Bot Academy helping
Thank
people.
you. I appreciate that.
Specifically mentioned that, and we just want to talk about riffing. Boy, we just kept going, and we're chatting, and your ears should have been burning, because
I love it.
we were talking about you. So yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Jamie's Jamie's a badass. Jamie's a
Oh yeah.
badass.
She
She's just
corrected
cool.
me, Jamie. I'm going to say it right now. She corrected me about my obsession with Tesla solar roof and solar battery storage.
Yeah.
Yeah, she corrected me on some points.
What
So
I'm not clear on the correction. You said
I'm
it's
now,
awesome.
let's just say this, my whole vision is now altered a little. I'm get a Tesla car. I'm going to have a Tesla solar roof. I'm going to do the
Oh,
panels on the
okay.
batteries,
Okay.
battery storage on the side of the house, and I'm going to
Yeah.
be free of blah, blah, blah. She kind of brought me to reality a little bit. So I'm digesting. I'm not saying I hate you, Jamie, but I kind of do right now
I'm
only.
not clear. Does it mean that you want to go full solar, or you're not going as
I
much?
totally want to go full solar,
You
but
want to go full
not
solar.
with the Tesla battery pack on the side of the house,
Oh,
apparently.
gotcha. So there's just other alternative ways of getting a
And
better.
they're not apparently as fascinating, amazing, wonderful, this nothing can touch them things that I thought they were.
Well, isn't that if that's true, then isn't it interesting how story can influence the perception of a company? Like, because like as far as I'm concerned, there's like the guy walks on water, and it's
He
the best
walks
thing.
on water.
And
He walks on water. I still think that way. I still
yeah.
know that that's the future. I'm totally cool with it, but she just kind of burst my bubble a little bit. So I'm just digesting, and
Okay.
I'm going to actually be a wiser consumer because of her, and make
Oh.
sure I look at all alternatives. Thank you very much, Jamie. But I really
Oh, well, I like that. That sounds like a healthy trauma.
Is there such a thing? Okay, I think that's what we're going to call it. Healthy
Yeah,
trauma.
healthy
Yes, I was
trauma.
traumatized
Yeah.
because I have this worldview, and Elon can absolutely levitate. but now I'm going to have a more healthy, I can take that trauma and be more healthy with it. Let's just leave it that way. But
I
I'm
like it.
really,
I like it. There's actually a great book called Start With Why by Simon Sinek.
mm,
It's all about how story influences perception of a company, and then so he uses like Apple, and he uses as like a negative example TiVo,
mm,
just kind of making the point that TiVo was like
yes.
the best product on the market, but they were a commercial disaster because they had no story.
Yeah.
The marketing was speaking in the wrong way.
Yeah.
When a
No one
company,
resonated.
no one resonated,
Yeah.
right? But
Right.
when you buy an Apple product, it means something about who you are as a
Oh, yeah.
person,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
My sons and I argue about it quite often
Yeah.
because I'm an Apple and they're the other guy.
The enemy.
Yeah, they do this Android thing. I don't know.
What's that?
Even though I raised them, I thought I raised them right. What the heck?
Yeah, not
But
necessarily.
anyway, yeah. So yeah, I get it. I totally get it. And I'm still Tesla all the way. Are you kidding? There is no way I will ever buy another gas car. I just will
Yeah,
not.
right.
You want to talk about awake? I am fully awake
Yeah.
to electric cars and specifically Tesla. I drove
Fantastic.
one in Norway and it will never, ever, ever buy anything else. It is the most amazing experience. So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox and I'll say thank you, Jamie. When you hear this, you're going to laugh, or hope you'll laugh. You won't be like mortified, I hope.
I love it.
All right. So we both obviously have fun at what we do.
Yes.
And I'm a little later in life than you are. But eventually, if you're lucky and you get to wake up every day like we all get to do, you will reach a time way in the future when probably someone's going to write your autobiography. Someone's going to write your memoirs for you. And I got a couple of questions about that for you.
Sure.
And number one question is, what would the title of that book be?
I love this. I love these questions, like just
Sure you
kind of
do.
makes you think. The first thing that came up for me hearing that question was internal shifts lead to external gifts. You don't know exactly what to expect when you have a kind of podcasty thing like this, right? But we've talked a lot about mindset, so I think it's only fitting that the title would be something that's probably the ideology that's had the largest impact on my life.
Yeah,
So
I
I'll go with
love
that.
that. The shifts equal the gifts. Absolutely. And so thinking about that though, who do you think, or who would you want to write that book for you?
Yeah, I earlier we mentioned my friend who did Landmark ahead of me, and so that guy is Sonny Durrani, and so we're actually he's recently engaged to that girl that he met back then when it all started.
And moved to California.
Exactly, and I'm one of his best men for his wedding now, so it's
Oh,
like it's just really cool. So I think no one would be better suited because he's known me since second year university, and we've been best friends basically ever since. And I think that he's also like this great, powerful coach, and I think he might have even been. It's hard to remember where these things come from, but he might have even been the guy to say that line to me:
yeah.
"Internal shifts lead to external gifts." So I think he would. From a personal standpoint, I'd most want to read his version of it.
His version of your life. Wouldn't
Yeah,
that be amazing? Yeah.
it would be cool.
There are some people I don't want to read their version of my life, but
Yeah.
most
Right?
of them I would love to read their version. I would probably laugh so hard I peed my pants.
Oh yeah.
Probably.
Anyone on a film set, I don't want to read the version.
Yeah.
I love and respect so many of you, but yeah, I don't want to read it. I want to read Sonny's version because
There you go. Yes. And so it sounds like I think the answer to this question is the same as the title of the book, but would there be any other quote, or what would be the quote that in that book that Sonny would say that you lived by? At the end of your life, remember, you're all the way at the end, and he's writing it in a retrospective of how you lived your life. What quote do you want him to use as the quote that sums up your life?
So when I was in the foundation, Dane Maxwell, who's brilliant at business. He's the one who run the foundation. He would always say this. He would say, "Action is the answer, and honesty is the way." And so if I had like a slogan, that's coming up for me as like the main slogan. Somebody who was able to take action on the things that I dreamed of and that I wanted to create for myself and others in my community and my family and friends, and who approached it in an honest way, who didn't try to like fool anyone or do shady stuff or, just like like an integrity place. That would probably be the highest compliment at the end of my life that I would feel the most attached to.
That you actually lived that way.
Yeah. Like if someone said that about me at that point,
Yeah.
that would be meaningful for sure.
You'd be like, okay, I arrived. I did it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'd call this life complete and move on to the next one.
Move on to the next one. You got it.
And grow 10x what I did this round, come on.
Oh yes. Oh yes. And then I'm born a beetle, what?
That's right. Or on another planet.
Yeah, right. Oh, Stephen, this has been such a blast. I love chatting with you so much. I can't wait for the next time. You're going to Conversations again, right?
Oh yeah, I can't miss that.
Yeah, definitely.
That was the most fun.
It's the most. I've compared every conference to that conference, and I got to tell you, none of them have matched that. They have not lived up to that. That has been the ultimate conference that I've ever attended.
Everybody was just so connected. Like we had this crew, like
oh yeah,
it was so fun, and they
we were all. Yeah, we were. Oh, they did an amazing job, definitely. Yeah. And we were all. I mean, we're all just as crazy about our subject. So I didn't stand out so much, right?
Right.
That nutty lady over there. Stay away from her. Shit. That's all she's going to talk to you about is boss. Right?
Now it's like, oh, that nutty lady over there. I want to talk to her. She knows what she's doing.
She's talking about bots. She's talking about my subject. Yeah, let's go chat. Oh yeah, that's what I want.
That made $1 million in 99 days for a client. Oh yeah, let's go talk to her.
Let's go talk to that lady. Yes. Oh my gosh, we have having so much fun with that. With one of my clients, we're talking no Facebook ads. We've made her like almost $300,000 in the first 3 months of the year.
Oh, I love it. That's just awesome.
That was the beginning. That was the first, from day one, boom, out of the gate. It's just so much fun.
Yeah. The best part is just seeing the results come in, like if you think back to the first bot you ever made and like, they posted about it with a growth tool, a ref link on a post or like a slide in widget. And you saw like, a few hundred people come in and like, is like an 80% click rate and like the person's making all this money and, they're paying you $500 and they're like, oh, I would have paid $50K. I had a client once, he's like, he paid $1,000 for the bot. And then he told me, like we kept working together and told me a couple months later, he's like, I would have paid like $50K for that, like
why did you tell me that? Why?
Yeah. Changing my pricing immediately.
So that means your next bill is reflective of that, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Exactly.
Oh my gosh, Stephen, thank you so much for joining me. I am so happy. Obviously, you're having an amazing chatbot life, and I'm so blessed that you were able to share it with us. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Every conversation with you is a gift. So I'm grateful as well to be able to come on with and chat with you and anybody listening. I hope you got a little bit of value from this. Probably a little less about bots than you may have expected, but I love it. So that's great.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to the My Chatbot Life podcast. To watch this video chat, visit mychatbotlife.com and get all the rocket boosters you need for your own chatbot success.